Listen, I get it. You don't have the time or the money for yet another subscription payment to another software that's new that you don't know how to use and that you're going to have to take time to learn. You don't have the time as a small business owner to sit down and worry about transactions and expenses and bank accounts and all that stuff. I get it. Well, today on Wednesdays with Wendy, not only are we going to make small business ownership less stressful one step at a time, we're going to talk about what happens if you don't keep track of things in your business. We're still continuing our September as a new year business. That's why I still have my garland up. Figured I might as well be festive for a few more weeks. And today we're going to talk about how to keep track of things when you don't think you need to keep track of things. Okay? So, let's see. You tell yourself, and I know I've done the same thing. Like there's a lot of expenses that you need to get a business started, and software subscriptions is one of them. So when I tell people to sign up for QuickBooks or Zero, the I you know, a lot of them are like, "Oh my gosh, that's yet another expense that I have to have, and then I got to figure out how to use it. I don't know how to use all that." And so you tell yourself, "You know what? I've got my bank account. I have online banking now. So I can log into my bank account every day and see how much money is in there. And besides, in addition to that, I have a pretty good idea, up here, how things are going in my business. So I don't really need QuickBooks or Zero. I don't need to keep track of stuff. I've got a pretty good idea up here how I'm doing. Okay. I mean, sure, that's legitimate. I mean, our brains are pretty smart. Can you also tell me what you had for breakfast last Thursday? What about what you had for supper 3 months ago on a Wednesday? That's a little harder, isn't it? Could you tell me 6 months ago you took $200 out of your business account in cash? What did you spend that money on? Maybe you remember. It could be something you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that was going to this festival for my business. I was marketing there. Okay, fine. But if it's just cash, sometimes you don't know. And hint, the bank doesn't know. I had a client tell me that. Well, ask the bank. The bank doesn't follow you around to see what you spent the cash on once it leaves their building. Just FYI. Well, that is what a lot of business owners say. They're like, I don't want to pay the money for a subscription. I don't have time to learn it. I don't have time to do it. I've just got it all up here. The problem is when when you think you have it all up here, you really don't. Because like I said, you can't even remember what you had for breakfast yesterday, much less what you spent money on, what that check was for, where all the money went, several months later. You wait until tax time, and then the tax preparer is asking you questions from the past year. And you don't know because none of us know. Our brains are not we're pretty smart, but they're not set up to keep track of all those little things and recall them at a moment's notice. What also happens is if you don't keep track of stuff, this is when it can get real. It's not just, well, then I just don't really know. And my tax preparer, things are kind of messy, but oh, they'll figure it out. And they'll figure it out because they have to, but they won't get it completely accurate. They'll get it close enough. You ever heard the phrase close enough for government work? That's what your tax preparer does when you have no records. They get it close enough and file a tax return and go on. You could be missing out on deductions. You could be paying tax on money that wasn't really income to you if you don't have it kept track of really well. In addition to the whole income tax problem, if you don't keep track of sales tax or withholding tax, I know here in Arkansas, if you don't file those reports for 2 months, the state sends you a business closure warning. And of course, you're thinking, okay, but they don't actually close your business, Wendy. Yeah, yeah, they do. I've seen it on the news. It's in the paper sometimes. You go to a brick and mortar store, and on the door there is a sheet of paper, and it's from the state Department of Finance and Administration Sales Tax Division, and it will say this business, whatever their name is closed for non-payment of sales tax. So 2 months and they can do it. You don't want to get in that situation because then you're too busy worrying about the sales tax or the withholding taxes and dealing with the state and all that. Do you know what happens if you're busy dealing with that? Do you know what you can't do? You can't serve your clients. You can't help your customers. You have to take time away from the whole reason you started your business in order to handle this mess over here that you created, maybe inadvertently. I'm sure you didn't intentionally create a big mess, but you know what I'm saying. You have to deal with all this stuff, and then serving your clients falls to the wayside. It goes to the background because you have to work to get all this paperwork fixed and all the money and everything just to keep your business open. And that's no way to run a business. It doesn't make you happy as a business owner. It doesn't make your clients happy when they can't get a hold of you, or you're taking forever to get back to them because you're too busy dealing with this other stuff. And so keeping track of things, I know you don't like paying for the software and you don't want to have time to learn it and you don't want to just sit down and do it either. But it's kind of a thing. It's like there are consequences down the line. You don't want to keep track of things, so you don't. Then you get behind on payments, you start missing some stuff, you get notices, you have a mess to clean up with the state, the IRS, other agencies, and then your customers don't get served. So ultimately, if you don't keep track of things down the line, if you're not serving your customers, what happens to your business? It doesn't go very far. You can't serve the clients you have. How can you go out and serve more clients? How can you bring your very much needed product or service to the people who need it most when you're too busy dealing with the back end stuff? In short, if you don't keep track of this, your dream dies. It's not just about, well, then you get a notice from the state, and then you get a notice from the IRS, and then you got to deal with that. It's not just that. There's larger consequences for not keeping track of these things. Your business will slowly go under, your clients will fall away, your customers, and that leaves you without, the awesome benefit of owning your own business, but also it leaves you unable to help the people that you went into business to help. And that's why I want to encourage you. I know you don't want to spend any more money and you don't want to spend any more time, but it really is the best way to make sure you're serving your clients is to get all of this stuff figured out on the back end so that it is running in the background. Find some sort of system, find some person. I do bookkeeping for my clients one to one. This is what they have me do. I do this stuff so they can focus on serving their clients and help the people that they set out to help. That is the ultimate reason why you should keep track of things. And that's the ultimate result of what happens if you don't keep track of things. And that's a really sad result because so many businesses fail. And there's a lot of reasons, but not keeping track of your finances is a big one. And you could go very far if you would just do that one thing, get all that figured out on the back end so that you can go serve your clients. All right. That is all for this week. I want you to remember no one is born knowing how to do this, and it is not taught in school. If you're feeling lost and overwhelmed, you're not alone, and that's why I'm here to help. Go to my website and book a consultation, and let's see if I can help you get this stuff figured out on the back end to free up your time to go serve your clients and help yours and their dreams come true. Y'all have a good day.